ourselves, but for the sake of proving you. Because if you're among enlightened gods and divine beings, who are you? And in your mind, if you're among something less than that, who are you? In your mind. So it might seem
good questions.
Right, appropriate on a Christian level to say, if you think you God, it's appropriate. This man think he God, this man crazy. That's an appropriate way to look at it on a Christian level. But on a self-realization level, it will make more sense. It will be more blissful, and you'll be more happy to be amongst God. Am I correct? It's a fact. So it makes sense there. And on my same perspective, the videos I put up about the goddess, it will make more sense for me to be among goddesses. Because if you got a negative attitude, that's what you see in me. And if that takes over your mind, anybody that come in your space, you're not going to bring the best out of them. You're going to bring the worst out of them, and you're going to constantly see the worst in them no matter what they do to your mind. How's that going to work for you? You bring the best out of people by seeing the best in them. Because now they got to live up to your expectation based on how you perceive them. But if you see them on a negative level, then they ain't got to do no work. Well, shit, I am a nigga. You feel me? They ain't got to work. But if you seeing them as a God and divine, you making them do some work now. They got to live up to that. They got to live up to. You see people change by the people they hang around. Yeah. You see them changing by the people they hang around because the expectations of them people based upon being around them is different. This group don't expect nothing. Oh, what's up, nigga? What's up, fool? This group of people don't expect nothing from that person. Then they go among this people. What's up, God? What's going on? What you building? It's a whole different expectation. So it behooves us to see the divinity of one another. Not for our egos. They'll get flattered. Get shook up. Who this nigga think he is? I think I'm somebody next to you, with you. Somebody that you look at every day. And if I'm not, come on. And you who you say you are, and know yourself to be, it will make sense. So we can't let the Christian fundamentalism mess up our heaven. Their heaven is after they die. Our heaven is now. We happy now. We ain't gonna have to commit suicide to find Jesus to be happy. We know how to change our perspective to live in the divine reality we want to live in. That's power.
And that's powerful because the simplicity is so profound. The basic things, the simple things, in that contentment is the joy. You know what I mean? The simple things is the joy. To just live in this and live in your reality, in your consciousness. And like you said, just receive a food of plenty, or a nice smile, or a thank, or I mean that is simple, but it goes a long way.
Yeah,
it's profound than being in that matrix or wherever, and you got all the gripes and different attitudes, car jams and stuff. Oh man, just this confusion. To live in that, and I mean to live in this with that simplicity,
right.
goes a very long way.
Yeah, dude.
It is heaven, man.
Yeah, dude.
And it don't take much. I mean, you expect a lot from yourself because you continuously to maximize your potential in your creation. But most of that maximizing has to do with building that solid consciousness to continue to create. Right. You know, blocking out distraction and the little thing. You know what I mean? That is a lot of the work. You know what I mean? Because creativity, when you keep moving in your integrity, that stuff comes. That's like your gift for keep going through that portal of answering those calls and initiation. That's right. The gift.
Right. That's powerful, man. So I think that's the work on our own consciousness, to constantly see divinity through our own eyes. And when something shows up consistent with our perspective of divinity, we are able to see it and live in that moment of what is divine. Because it's easy to look back and get caught up into the negatives of others, into what others doing that's not living up, and avoid the positive that we manifest. And that's what we was doing today. We were seeing the positive and how we responded to that situation. We were able to see the positive, not just in the negative of what's going on in the temple and what we're not achieving. We also can see the progression of what's happening by us being here. And we got to be able to do that with one another. We got to be able to also reaffirm the positiveness in what we're doing and see that. So seeing ourselves as God is metaphoric for living in the moment of seeing greatness. You know what I'm saying? Not some extraterrestrial being or somebody, some ghost, but literally saying, man, I'm seeing the greatness now. I'm in the moment of the great. This is the great moment. So when you see God, you're a momentarian. You are momentary. The momentarian sees God all the time because they're seeing the all. They're living in the all. That means they're completely and fully here. And if you're there, you see God completely. And if you see God completely, who you're looking at cannot be outside of your complete vision. So whoever's there for that moment, you must be experiencing God. That deep? That means it's not omnipotent and omnipresent, but not with that nigga standing there over there. God everywhere, but where that nigga at? He continues. He goes over him and he continues there. He's all around that nigga.
When you see that nigga as God, that's in like
Right. Because it say he's in the image and likeness of God, but God is omnipresent. But he happened to be everywhere that nigga not. That nigga say he God, he crazy. God is definitely not there. God definitely not standing right there.
That's how it be sometimes.
It's a fact. So we got to change that. And to me, nation building has turned us up to see that divinity. But if religion wasn't there, it'd have been another term. You know what I'm saying? To embody the greatness of who we are. It's a Christian society. So we just borrow from that ultimate experience of people experiencing God through Jesus and using them terminologies. We just cross that on over and say, well, that's what it is then. Is that the greatest thing you can think of? That's what this is. What's the greatest thing? Because, I mean, we speak in a language. We think just because people speak in Spanish and French, that those are different languages. People are communicating many different languages. When they say God, they're talking about the greatest imaginable, mysterious, thing that exists. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So we begin to use that word to explain that to them. Because if we said it's on block, they'd be like, what the hell is that? So we had to find a terminology they could identify with, which was God.
But it gotta be, what was that name?
On block.
On block gotta be close to the same story as Jesus. Because all of them kind of add up and they kind of similar.
Right. So in they have their own mythos or their own symbolic language to explain those great experiences. And we just borrow from them so we can communicate with them. Because you say, well, what do you believe in? You believe in God? You say, I am God. Then they know what you're talking about. Had they not came to you with God, you would never have to say you're God. You could have said, I'm having a nice day. Right. But since they come to you talking about God, you got to say, I'm that. You're stuck there, that's me. To bring them into the moment. It's a reality. What no one's going saying, walking up there, excuse me, I'm God. Hey, everybody on the bus. I'm God. Ain't nobody doing that. So it really isn't that type of a thing. It's just a way of communicating to a Christian society that we're the greatest, mysterious, unfathomable, fathomable, infinite, supreme, you know what I'm saying? Energy, right. It's our way of communicating that to them. And I believe that's what the 5%ers was doing as well. They just had to speak a language that people knew. They said they was Allah. because they was around a lot of Arabs. If they was around Hindus, they would say they was Krishnas. They was around Chinese, they would have said they was the Buddha. So it was just a way of communicating to people who've been caught into a small religious knowledge base. That's a fact. But it's probably 6 o'clock in the morning. So I know it's people's ready to rest. Because I'll be talking at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
It's one of the moments.
Right. But if nobody had no other questions or nothing they want to add or their enlightenments.
We agree, God.
Energy of fire.
We appreciate it.
Just turn and go to sleep. Right? Ain't that one of the moments where it's just nod off. He up right now.
You're right, because it's light outside now.
Yeah, it is.
So next week, I think we're going to challenge ourselves to loosen ourselves from certain limitations that we have in our mind and venture off, into our higher states of consciousness. For real, just break all the limitations. Rid any excuses to be unhappy, you know what I'm saying, or limit it, or giving away moments, which is energy.
Stop paying attention to certain distractions.
Right.
Just create.
Right. It's a fact, man. And stay centered in the positivity of self. And when you're positive, things come out of boxes positively in ways you wouldn't even imagine. If things don't show up like you want to, sometimes they show up out of the box. We're limited on how divine moments and experiences should show up for us. Well, you'd be surprised. Stuff comes out different ways, but it be on time. You know what I'm saying? It be how it should show up.
Yeah, that's a gift. That's a present.
Yeah. Even though it's unconventional, it might be how it should show up. So we got to be open to how it should show up. And, don't complain over loss or not having. Just be appreciative of the way and how things show up. Because in reality, that's the only way you can have one. You can only have an apple how it actually falls off the tree. There's no other way you can have it, because that's the way you know it's right.
Something else you mentioned about just really challenge yourself to focus on self, on the way that self is thinking.
Right.
What is self actually creating? I mean, going deep and really asking yourself them hard questions. You peeling that onion, and you're like, you know what? I am going to be conscious on what I'm creating and what I'm thinking and when I'm thinking, and I'm going to create in that.
Mm-hmm.
But just really play a closer attention to that, and it's almost more so listening. Listening, even a higher, keen listening to self. Well, now you're paying more attention to yourself, not the reflections, not all the other stuff, but you're just paying attention to that self. And it's not what we say, you being self-centered, but what you're really doing is you're getting to a point where you're helping yourself develop, so you can evolve into a certain state of consciousness where your projection can be stronger. Like you're saying, where you can really see God, and God is more times than not. You know what I mean? Because now the optical, the first eye is clear. You know what I mean? It's a different clarity in that moment. It's not so in and out during the day.
You're right.
Because I can be honest and say that 24 hours a day is not that sharp. Not 24 hours a day. No, sir. So some of the moments in the day, the body is resting. The mind is working, but even in some hours, it's not as sharp in paying attention to what I'm creating and what I'm allowing to come into the garden.
You're teaching, man. But that's the reality, being open to that moment. Be open to those moments. Because sometimes you realize too, a lot of what we want is more than what's divine for the moment. Realize that too, man. Like we can Stock this